Are you nervous?
No.
Do you ever get nervous? Is this something that's possible for you? So what are we talking about this week?
Barcelona?
We're talking about Barcelona. What happened in Barcelona?
I have no idea. What happened?
Why is that?
Does anyone?
Because you've been off Twitter for, I think the people who were there know. It's a little bit harder from the outside, but it seems to have been a very, very successful show. So I don't know if it's the annual or I don't know if it's a yearly thing, but I don't think so. I think it's just sort of whenever they do it. But it was, I guess you could call it a trade show, but for a blockchain.
Normally, you would expect people to be advertising this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they made a lot of noise about it. I think it was more industry specific and it wasn't so much. And I mean, maybe it should have been both potentially. But you know, you can't get everything right the first time.
I would have definitely liked to see like a full day by day sort of rundown of everything that happened in full detail, because that would have been very good for marketing purposes, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I hope that at the very least they sort of take all the keynote speeches and put them on YouTube. That would be hours of fun.
Yeah, maybe so be more sort of post production about it happening. Once
hopefully
done, they're going to be putting videos or something.
So let's talk about the big topics. The first one was the Bitcoin to BTC bridge to Avalanche. What's the significance of this for you?
Just the fact that it could bring a lot of money into Avalanche. Obviously, there's a ton of money in Bitcoin. I think the more that people look to get their cryptocurrency in general off of centralized exchanges, then, you know, that's going to come in through any bridge that's available, because every bridge that is available is a pretty sought after kind of device.
So how is the Bitcoin that's on Avalanche now getting to Avalanche? Actually, I'm not 100% on that.
I guess the Bitcoin that's on Avalanche now is coming through Ethereum.
Right. That would have been my guess. So there's no direct bridge from Bitcoin. There's no other bridge. So there's only going to be one bridge. It's going to be this official bridge.
I mean, there are probably going to be like the different sort of offerings of tokenized Bitcoin are probably also going to launch on Avalanche. I expect, if they haven't already.
What does that mean?
So like WBTC, REN BTC, Anchor BTC. There's a few different, and the Badger Bridge. There's a few different forms of tokenized Bitcoin where you can send your Bitcoin to one of these kind of holding places. They take your Bitcoin and they give you.
What's the process? So you go from Bitcoin, like let's take REN BTC. How do you get from BTC to REN BTC on Avalanche?
So you would send your Bitcoin to a specified wallet address, and then you kind of have an account set up with them. I don't know the specifics, but in general, they're all going to be pretty much the same. Once you send your Bitcoin to a specified wallet on their sort of Bitcoin addresses, then they're going to credit a token to you on the chain that represents your held Bitcoin. Similar to how you would deposit, US dollars into USDC or Tether, and then you would get basically a stable token in return for your US dollars.
But are these generally like centralized bridges with like a centralized company that's actually providing the service, or it's?
So far, yeah, they're all centralized. There's no decentralized like thing. They're all going through some company, some project. I'm sure they would say that they're decentralized, but they're held in one central location. So,
but don't you like, isn't there a difference between, for example, something like the official Avalanche bridge from Ethereum to Avalanche and one of these other bridges? Like, besides the fact that it's tied to Avalanche and it's the official one, besides that fact, is there a material difference in um, that bridge versus these bridges, or they're all sort of the same. The underlying
Well, essentially,
code is different, but
the
and
Avalanche
process,
the Avalanche bridge is a native bridge built into the blockchain. I'm
right?
assuming. I don't have the full details, but um, if it's being built by the Avalanche devs, it's not going through like a centralized third party or someone else who's setting up like a service. It's going through kind of an offering from Avalabs devs.
But I guess let me reframe that question. Is it essentially the same, but one is built by the underlying blockchain team and the other ones aren't?
Yes.
But otherwise, they're essentially all the same.
The process is the same. You send your Bitcoin to, they're all going to have, whatever, they're going to generate a wallet as soon as you're requesting one. You send your Bitcoin to that wallet. That wallet's kind of going to get like locked down, cold storage, whatever, and then they're tokenizing it. So they're minting a new token based on this every time that you send, a Bitcoin or part of a Bitcoin or whatever.
So I can get Bitcoin today. I can wrap it. I can bring it to Avalanche. The significance, therefore, of this new bridge is that it's just going to make people feel better because it's probably, let's assume that they did a really good job at making it secure and as decentralized as possible, and it's more direct. And it feels good using it because it's like the official bridge, and so it's more like a psychological. I mean, you're removing barriers, right? Like right now,
Well, you're also
you
removing
have to go through
extra
different chains,
steps and kind of lost
right?
fees, time.
Right.
Because if you want to send Bitcoin to Avalanche, you'd have to go through a different chain entirely.
Right.
Um,
And
or you have
of
to
all the
buy.
news that came out this week, sorry to cut you off. Of all the news that came out this week, to you, so we're talking about the Bitcoin bridge, the core wallet, and the creator fund, right? Those are sort of the three big pieces. Which one is your favorite?
Probably the core wallet.
Okay. I thought you were going to say the Bitcoin bridge.
I'm definitely looking forward to the Bitcoin bridge because it's going to bring in a lot of sort of outside funds much easier into Bitcoin or into Avalanche rather. But I mean, the core wallet is going to be kind of turning Avalanche into something that I think a lot of people haven't seen in crypto DeFi area. It's basically going to make using Avalanche and using the dApps on Avalanche and DeFi kind of, I'm assuming will be a more seamless experience. And it's also, I'm assuming is going to tie in the subnets and basically all of the features that Avalanche has to offer. If it's being built specifically by this team, I would assume that this is their goal. The reason why they're not continuing to use or continuing to include things like MetaMask and third-party wallets, they're going to focus their efforts on a kind of seamless wallet experience. Then
MetaMask is very buggy. Do we sort of agree? Like MetaMask is not a great user experience at this
MetaMask
point in time.
yeah, I mean, it's the best thing we have so far, but
Yeah.
I believe there could be a lot better.
Yeah, no, and I think every time we're going to critique something, here it's like we have a lot of respect for the people who develop V1, but V2 is always better, and we're sort of at a point where MetaMask needs a V2. It's not a fun experience, right?
Yeah, I think
But
MetaMask should work. Personally, I think it should work more seamlessly with the environment that you're using. I think when you have this kind of little pop-up that comes up on the side and to log into it, which maybe people will have to log into it anyways, just for security reasons, but if it's included inside the apps that you're using, it's going to be like a more sort of immersive and less. Not that being immersive really matters in crypto because it's not like you're watching a movie, but at the same time, you kind of want to be able to know that the things that you're using work together very well. If it's built to like mesh, then you're going to probably have a lot more trust and sort of confidence in the fact that it'll work well.
So they're doing a mobile wallet and they're doing a browser extension. So currently MetaMask, I've always only used the browser extension. Is there even a mobile version? I don't think so.
There is a mobile version of
Okay.
MetaMask. It's kind of slow. It's not. I've tried
Not
using
recommended.
it. I didn't like it that much because you're running a browser and you're running MetaMask at the same time on a phone.
Oh, so it runs on the browser on your phone.
It's running its own browser. It'll probably, I think it uses
Okay.
whatever browser that you have. It'll integrate it
Right.
into the MetaMask app, and then
Right.
you're going to be
Yeah,
able
that
to.
doesn't.
But in terms of like actually like doing a contract, like if you want to, I don't know, trade something on Trader Joe or something, um, it's going to be kind of wonky.
Right. So um, you're super excited about the core wallet, and it's just for this sort of like linear improvement reason. Like it's just going to be V2 of, let's call MetaMask V1. This is V2. It's a step up improvement, and that's sort of the story for you, or is there something else to it?
I think it's kind of continuing the amazement that people feel when they
Right.
switch, let's say, from Ethereum
Right.
to Avalanche. So as it is, if you're an existing kind of Ethereum user where you have only ever used DeFi or dApps on Ethereum, and right now you switch to Avalanche, like your mind will be blown at the lower fees and way faster transactions, and the fact that your transactions very rarely, if ever, are going to just get hanged on the chain waiting to be accepted or just dropped entirely because it's just not going to happen. Um, so now, I mean, going from using just, for example, like using SushiSwap or Uniswap on Ethereum, switching from that experience to using Trader Joe, it's completely different. You do it the first time and you're like, this is insane. People need to
Right.
know that this exists
Right.
because,
So
you're going
so
to pay
so yeah.
$20 for a single trade when the gas fees are, even at a moderate level. And chances are you're probably going to wait maybe a minute or more for that transaction to be confirmed. With Avalanche, you send it, you pay maybe a dollar or less, and the transaction gets confirmed in seconds. Yeah.
So the weakest link in like having a seamless experience for a user right now is MetaMask, and this sort of upgrades it, and that's why you're
Yeah.
excited about this
So,
wallet.
so extending from that point where people are already switching from Ethereum to Avalanche, and they're saying how much more efficient it is just to use, which the efficiency makes it more enjoyable to use. It's not frustrating. Um, when you are also going to take away this this kind of weird MetaMask thing, and it's just going to hopefully work seamlessly with the dApps that you're using, it's going to be another level of like, why isn't everything like this?
So I have two questions about the core wallet. My first question is, and this may be asking a lot, but is there a plan for the mobile wallet to be integrated with some sort of direct merchant payment via like existing sort of ramps like Visa or MasterCard or debit, or through like another sort of idea that is more interesting than that? Um, but could we soon or eventually or hope, right away, if the Avalanche team has been talking to Visa and there's a way to sort of like integrate a direct payment link where, I can go to Starbucks and I can use my Avalanche mobile wallet and then buy a cup of coffee. If I could do that tomorrow, to me, this is huge upside because what you're talking about is, I think, very important, and I'm excited for a better user experience as well. But it's not a, it's a small step innovation, and I'm sort of looking for like huge step innovations. And if you could actually take a blockchain and make it work in the real world, and this could be the missing link, right? Like it's that last step.
Yeah.
Um, that would be an order of magnitude sort of improvement. It would be a 10x improvement. Really, it really would be just that
Final
alone.
piece that
Yeah,
DeFi and crypto needs to get mass adoption.
right.
when
What are the odds of that happening? What are the odds of
I mean,
the Avalanche team is that organized and smart, and they are on top of this, and they have seen? I mean, they must be talking about it internally, right? Like
I would
it's
imagine.
almost impossible that they're not trying to do this.
I'm sure there's probably some kind of uh, talks or questions about how they can make this work. Of course, I'm only going from speculation because I don't have a lot of information from what even happened. So I'm just assuming. But generally, I mean, you can assume something like this is going to be on point.
Because they've executed, everything I've seen them execute in the past 6 months has been pretty
Yeah, and everything
pretty
I
on
would have
point. Like
expected to
it's
them to
pretty
do,
impressive.
everything I would have expected them to do, they've done and delivered even
Above that, yeah,
yeah.
right, yeah,
So as far as
yeah.
that goes, I would assume that there's going to be probably something happening. And even if there's not, um, if the core wallet makes it so that you're able to just kind of have this kind of like turnkey uh, product from Avalanche where you can use the whole ecosystem without having to go outside of itself. Um, if there isn't this one factor of being able to have like real world payments, somebody's going to build it and they're going to integrate it into the system. And
Perhaps, yeah.
and it'll be very easy for a third party to integrate something like this, especially
And
with the low fees and the fast transactions.
and by the way, we've heard nothing about this, right? Like there's been no announcements in this direction. I've read absolutely nothing about using the core wallet to be a mobile wallet that can be used in the real world. But
Yeah,
I'm just sort of, looking at the big wins, and I mean, it's just such a natural place for this product to go.
I think so.
Um, and I'm sort of thinking about like, MetaMask could be potentially working on this as well, but I don't know if they're structured in sort of this for profit. We want to make this thing work in the same way. I think it's more, I would imagine it's more run like a foundation. So maybe they're sort of not as aggressive about developing it. Speculating here. But okay, so that's sort of the number one big win. My number two big. So just to recap, even if we get base functionality, you're excited. I'm excited about that too. I'm
Yeah.
really excited if we get some sort of merchant, integration. Um, my second question and the point on which I'm hopeful is the subnet integration.
Yeah.
Do you need this core wallet to make the subnet infrastructure work in a way that is seamless, where you don't have to take money from your wallet and bridge it to, let's say you're using 10 different subnets. I don't want to have to bridge to 10 different subnets. I want to have one place in my wallet, and I want the wallet to, if it needs to bridge in the background, that's fine. But I, as a user, don't want to know what's happening. I just want to know that my funds are being used on any subnet. And from what we've seen, in the basic, I'm just using the Spaces test subnet, and I know it was just sort of signing a transaction. It wasn't fully processing it, so I don't know, how this translates to this wallet or to doing transactions on subnets. But it does seem like maybe there's some ingenious way to set this up so you can have one wallet, you could use it across 100, 1,000, 10,000 subnets seamlessly. And I would think that maybe this is why this is coming out now. Like subnets are coming out, and then the core wallet is coming out around the same time. Is this a coincidence, or is there sort of a perfect integration that's going to happen between the two?
So again, just speculation, but I think the timing is kind of very convenient for them to have all of these things seeming to converge at a very close kind of time frame, all within
It
like
seems like a grand vision that is being orchestrated, not
yeah.
like
So
random
so
pieces
if you
falling
see it from
from the
kind of
sky.
like the 10,000 foot view, you know,
Yeah,
there's all these things happening at the same time. If the wallet, if their like thing were to tie all this together, then it would make sense, I think, and it would definitely be like just a massive improvement over what exists currently, even on Avalanche. I mean, massive improvement over everything else out there on the market. But yeah, I think as far as the subnets go, it'll probably be pretty easy for them to integrate this, if they're making it themselves, if they're able to code all this stuff together. And even if not, I think probably they're going to be able to make it so that even if you're still just using MetaMask, the subnets should be pretty easy to use. If you have to do bridging, there's probably going to be some way to make this like if you're going to make a transaction, there should be a way to make this easier than having to do extra steps. They should just,
Right.
if you have to bridge something, the bridge process should be included.
It's not going to be like bridging from Ethereum to some other chain.
No,
like
you're not
it's going to be much easier, obviously.
30, 20 minutes or whatever to get your funds bridged over there. It should probably be just as seamless and instant as sending a transaction.
So I think I don't know if anyone's going to be watching this podcast or if it's just a conversation between you and I. We'll find out. But if anyone is watching, I think we'll definitely do some shows. Hello. We'll definitely do some shows about subnets specifically. I think this is sort of a huge topic, and we're not going to get into it more than that, except to say that it's a huge step up innovation, but it needs to get tied together somehow. Otherwise, I don't know how bullish I am on the subnets. If moving assets between subnets is difficult, I'm a lot less excited. If moving assets between subnets is easy, then you just built sort of the fastest, most scalable chain in crypto. I think. I mean, it's essentially what you've done between the Gossip protocol and the subnet architecture. You have something that defies the trilemma, and so it's secure, it's decentralized, and it's scalable. And if you can make the bridging between them seamless, then you have a great user experience. And it's hard to think that, I mean, I don't know if we want to talk about how this impacts the Avalanche AVAX price. I think it's maybe positive.
That's another show.
Another show. Yeah. So yeah, not financial advice, but if this all comes together, I think being a buyer of Avalanche will not be a silly thing. I think it might be something very with a lot of upside within the right portfolio context. And again, not financial advice. So let's sort of move on to like the last big piece of news coming out of Barcelona, which is the $100 million creator fund that is being, I don't know if it's spearheaded, may not be the right word, but being advertised with the help of Grimes. What are your thoughts?
I think it's interesting. I don't have a lot of opinions or ideas on the more artistic side of crypto with NFTs, all that stuff. But I think there could be, if Avalanche is trying to make a play for more than just finance, if they're trying to look for, ways to do art, ways to sell music, ways to, who knows, if they're just trying to make it so that everything happens on Avalanche, this could be a great way to kind of encourage people to get on the chain who maybe have no interest in crypto, but they can see, who knows, just a new way to sell their merch or sell their art, or to create kind of like a decentralized platform if they don't like the other platforms that exist.
So just to give this a bit more context, the first incentive sort of bag that everyone got in the ecosystem was the Rush incentive.
Yeah.
Right. Which was, I think, around $200 million.
I don't remember how much it was, but it was pretty significant.
It was a significant number, and it's ongoing as well, right? There's still some money, I believe, in that fund, and some people are still getting it. I know that
the amount was announced, and but I think it's likely that it ended up becoming a lot more, because when the Rush program was announced, the price of Avalanche was a lot lower than it is now.
Right.
So I think if the dollar amount was announced in terms of Avalanche value, probably increased in value because they've been issuing Avalanche tokens.
You think that's how they would have priced it? It seems, I feel like they should have priced it in stables or something. But then, anyway, so let's maybe not go down that rabbit hole. So that was the first incentive program. The second one, it was or is it was announced recently as the subnet incentive program. I think that one is $190 million. I could be wrong on that number. I could be wrong on that number.
Not sure about that one.
Yeah. But that's been announced as well, and it's also a very significant number. And then the creator fund is $100 million. So I sort of
The subnet one
yeah,
you're talking about, is that the same thing as the dev fund that they launched?
it's the one that they launched very recently.
I think there was a $200 million dev fund to bring developers over to Avalanche. They wanted to encourage development, growth, and people building. So they
Okay.
launched a dev fund.
I feel like we may be sort of not relaying this perfectly well. We'll have to like revisit this topic in the future. But I think the overarching sort of point here is that there's been these different funds to do different things, and they always sort of make sense. I think again, it's the Avalanche uh, um, foundation, or it's not a foundation. The Avalanche team, yeah, the Avalanche team, really, having a well worked out view of how to do this, and it's very, I think, organized. To me, doing the creator fund is sort of first of all, I would say it's the right time in terms of sequence to do it last. So you want to do DeFi, you want to bring devs over, you want to encourage DeFi, you want to encourage subnets, and then you want to encourage artistic ventures.
Yeah.
So I love how they're doing it.
Yeah. Lay out all the groundwork, make it so that all the other people who, like to get in on the coding side and to, fiddle around with kind of like an early development ecosystem, get it to a place where it's good, probably easy to use, hopefully, have a nice seamless core wallet, and then bring in everyone else.
Yeah, it's very smart. It shows like a grand scheme, right? Like they're doing this strategically, and then partnering up with Grimes, sort of genius. I think Grimes is great for stuff like this. She's sort of an early adopter of everything, I guess, and sort of has a vision. I think this is a very good partnership. Do you want to talk about like how these partnerships have worked in the past for other chains? And how successful they were, and
yeah, well, I mean, in general, they've never really gone super well because
right.
I won't go into specifics, but there's been quite a few, I would say, influencers who have had some run-ins with the law because of the way that they were promoting or sort of secretly accepting financial, incentives to promote something. And a lot of them kind of just, I think they flopped. Maybe I don't know if I've ever seen one that kind of went well long term, because people were just in it for the money. They were just
Right.
You're gonna give me money to do something for you, and so it's basically just paying an influencer to your marketer.
And it's just different. I mean, because I think, for example, Grimes is actually getting financed to do an artistic project on Avalanche. So it's not paid advertising. It's more like a partnership, at least based on the small amount of details that have come out on this program. It looks more like a real partnership.
Yeah, I think so. I
think which may be a key differentiator, right? Like
if they're not gonna just pay her directly just because they want it like a kind of like a front man or front woman.
Right. Right.
If it's just she's going to get a contribution because she's actually contributing, then I think it'll be interesting. I mean, I don't know much about her or what she does, so I'd be curious to see what comes out of it.
I mean, this is sort of the funny part of all this. All the Avalanche hardcore before who's Grimes, right? Yeah. And there's been a lot of that.
Yeah, I'm in that crowd.
Yes. I mean, I sort of know her because I follow Tesla a little bit, and she's been present in that because she has a relationship with Elon. So, one of the big questions is she bringing Elon over to Avalanche? Will he drop Doge or could we have a Doge subnet? That could be fun.
Probably. Yeah.
That
would be very interesting.
Doge on Avalanche. I might be bullish on it if that happened. Yeah.
Imagine Elon Musk becoming an Avalanche bull.
Yeah, that would be not unhelpful. That would be a good catalyst, I think.
Very
Which I sort of almost expect could happen because he's
Yeah.
right on many things.
Well, I mean, he's looking
And
for, the right network or the right system.
yeah, the right
I
tech.
think if he's aware of Avalanche, he should probably be in favor of Avalanche.
Yeah, I think once he has sort of time to, and I hate making Elon predictions because I mean, who knows, right? Not in his head, but if he ever had the time to sort of understand the architecture, or meet some of the people from Avalabs, I think he would get it very quickly. And I think
That would be
it's hard to think that he wouldn't come aboard, because the tech is just, between the Gossip Protocol and the subnets, it's pretty great. So I think we'll leave it here for this week on our pilot first time episode. If anyone has made it this far, thank you. Hope it hasn't been too painful for you. And we'll try to get this to be better every week. Please, I guess, follow us on all the places. That would be great. Thank you. Jared.
I concur.
Very good.